Today we are going to be working on pages 745 to 748 in your math book, and we're going to be learning about repeating patterns. Let's do the solve and share together. The rule for the repeating pattern below is square triangle. What will be the 37th shape in the pattern? And then we need to explain. Go ahead and pause the video and try to figure out what you think will be the 37th shape. Hopefully you decided that the 37th shape would be a square. It's kind of hard to see that. The reason it will be a square is because all of the odd numbers are squares and all of the even numbers are triangles. And since 37 is an odd number, it will be a square. All right, now let's look at the bottom where it says look back. It says after the 37th shape is placed, how many triangles are going to be in the pattern? Well, you don't actually need to draw them all out or count them all out. What you can do is, since there are two shapes in the pattern, you can just divide 37 by 2. And you know it's not going to go into it evenly because 37 is an odd number. There is going to be a remainder. So 2 goes into 3 once. 1 times 2 is 2. Subtract, and you get 1. Bring down your 7. 2 goes into 17 8 times, and 2 times 8 is 16, so you're going to have a remainder of 1. But the question is asking, after the 37th shape is placed, how many triangles are going to be in the pattern? Well, since the triangles are placed before the square, there are going to be 18 triangles. Let's look at this problem. It says, how can you use repeating patterns to predict a shape? Rashad is making a repeating pattern for the rule. We have triangle, square, trapezoid. We want to know what will be the 49th shape in the pattern. Well, you don't actually have to draw out 49 shapes. Since we know that there are 3 shapes in the pattern, we can just divide 49 by 3 and see what the shape will be. We know that every third shape is going to be a trapezoid. So when you're trying to find the number to a pattern, and if it's not going to have a remainder, it's going to be the third shape because it will go into the number evenly. But if the number does have a remainder, in this case, since there are 3 shapes, it would either have a remainder of 1, a remainder of 2, or no remainder. If it's a remainder of 1, it's going to be the first shape. If it's a remainder of 2, it's going to be the second shape. And if there is no remainder, it's going to be the third shape. So if we look at the trapezoid is every third shape. So no remainder, it will be the third shape. Then the triangle is going to be the first, the third, the 7th, and so on. So any remainder of 1 is going to be a triangle. And last, we have the square, which is the second shape. So it's going to be the second shape, then the 5th, then the 8th, and every third one after that. So if you have a remainder of 2, it will end up being the the square in this pattern. So we're going to use the repeated pattern to solve. So we're just dividing 49 by 3. And if you divide 49 by 3, you will see here that you get a remainder of 1. Since we have a remainder of 1, it's going to be a triangle because that is the first shape. Let's look at the bottom. Suppose the square, triangle, square, trapezoid in a repeating pattern. We want to know what the 26th shape would be. Well, here we have a square, then a triangle, then a square, then a trapezoid. So I'm counting 4 shapes. If we want to know what the 26th shape will be, all we have to do is divide 26 by 4. Well, I know 6 times 4 is 24, so I'm going to end up with a remainder of 2. And if I'm looking at my pattern, I have square, triangle, square, whoops, that should be a square, and then I have a trapezoid. And since it's a remainder of 2, it will be the second shape, which will be a triangle. I also know, looking at this pattern, that I have square, triangle, square, trapezoid. So the squares, I should say squares because there's two of them, the squares are always going to be odd numbers, where the triangle and trapezoid are always going to be even numbers, because the squares are the first and third shape, where the triangle and the trapezoid are the second and fourth shape. Let's quickly look at another example. Here it says, write the next three numbers in the repeating pattern, and then we want to name the 100th number in the pattern. So our rule is 1, 3, 5, 7. So if we look at our pattern, I'm going to highlight each group a different color. There's 4 numbers. So we have 1, 3, 5, 7. Then we have 1, 3, 5, 7. Then we have 1, 3, 5, 7. So our next 3 numbers are going to be 1, 3, 5, then 7. So instead of just writing out 100 numbers, what you can do, since you're finding the 100th number, you can divide 100 by 4 since there's 4 numbers in the pattern. Since it goes into it evenly, it's going to be the last number. There's no remainder. So since it goes into it evenly, the 100th number is going to be a 7. If it was remainder 1, the 100th number would have been a 1. If it was remainder 2, it would have been a 3. If it was remainder 3, it would have been a 5. But since it went into it evenly, it's going to be the last number in the pattern. Guided practice. Do you understand? So in the triangle, square, trapezoid example on the previous page, what would be the 48th shape and the 50th shape? Explain. Well, we already did the math for that one, but if you didn't, you can just divide it again. So you can divide 48 divided by 3. I know 48 goes into 3 evenly 16 times. So since there is no remainder, the 48th shape is going to be, I'm just going to highlight it for you, a trapezoid, because it goes into it evenly. There is no remainder. If I'm doing the 50th shape, I'm just counting 2 more. So it would have a remainder of 2, and therefore the 50th shape would be a square. All right, let's look at number 2. Number 2, what is the 20th shape? The rule is triangle, circle, circle. Well, since there are 3 shapes and we want to know the 20th shape, all we're going to do is divide 20 into 3. Well, 3 goes into 20 6 times. 3 times 6 is 18, so you're going to have a remainder of 2. The second pattern in the shape is a circle, so the 20th shape is going to be a circle. And then our last one, we have write the next 3 numbers. The rule is 9, 2, 7, 6. So we have our first, there are 4 numbers. We have 9, 2, 7, 6. And now again, we have 9, 2, 7, 6. So the next 3 numbers are going to be 9, 2, and 7. Go ahead and do the rest of the problems on this page and the next page. And then if you have any questions, bring it to the Zoom meeting on Wednesday. I've also uploaded the PDF, so you can either take a picture of your math book once you do the work and upload it into your Google Drive and turn it in, or you can take the PDF that I uploaded and you can edit it with DocHub to turn in your work.